Hi, I'm Andrew Spieler.
And I'm Mary Hope Rennie.
And you're watching or listening to Behind the Sign, real stories from real estate. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Behind the Sign. We've got a very entertaining episode ahead. I can already feel it because our pre-discussion here has already been fantastic. So, Mary Hope, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Absolutely, absolutely. He's already putting his head down, worried about what we're going to introduce to him. So I want to introduce one of our top agents, Jonathan Farwell. Jonathan, welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Do you go by Jonathan or John?
Either one's fine with me.
I wanted to give you the full name because there is a big difference between Jonathan and John with an H.
Very true.
My brother is Jonathan without an H too, so I respect. I respect
Thank
it.
you.
Have you noticed when I text you, I don't put that H in there.
And I appreciate that.
I know you would.
For little things.
Giving
This
me,
is how this podcast
naming
is
me
go, right?
properly. Yes.
So, without further ado, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, even before where and how you got into real estate. But usually it happened, the story starts a little bit before that.
Okay. Yeah, totally. I think the biggest thing that everyone listening to this podcast needs to know about me is that I'm a Gemini. And that's
Well, there you go.
We spoke about this on another episode. That signs being
important.
Okay.
Yeah.
But-
Will you be offended if I have no clue what that means and how that identifies?
not
I
like
know it's a sign.
sign of the zodiac. No.
That I do
So,
know.
to answer that question about me before I got into real estate, let's see here. Grew up in Massachusetts. I went to college for 2 whole years up at Colby Sawyer. At the end of the second year, they're like, "You need to leave, bud." And so I was like, "Okay," and I did. And then I spent a year doing door-to-door sales, and that was so great that I joined the Army in a time of war.
What did you sell door to door?
Yeah, everyone loves to guess. Do you want to guess?
Well, my son has done 2 of those things. Pest control,
Nope.
roofs.
What?
Tupperware.
0 for 3.
Damn.
It was a good try.
Books.
No, but most people go with either vacuums or knives.
Yes. Oh, yes. Those are, yes.
Yeah. No. We sold coupon booklets.
I do know those too.
Yeah.
I have a family of door-to-door salesmen, so
Oh, okay.
yes.
Yeah. You made $10 a whack selling them, so you could do, if you do really well, $100 a day, and you were 1099 contractors.
That's all you need to say.
Best. Yeah.
Therefore, why you need to rush into the middle
But
of
free
Yes.
coupons, right? So I'm
Free coops.
Yeah, right.
It's true. And so I was like, it'd be better than this, the war. And so I was fortunate enough to serve in the 173rd Airborne, specifically 2nd Battalion, where I got to work with some fantastic leaders, both officers and non-commissioned officers. And I, went to the Korengal Valley in Afghanistan, and I was there for about 9 months. I got blown up. I know. I was as surprised as anyone.
Yeah.
I was like, hey. So
only you can make us laugh
yeah,
about
like
it.
it worked out. Like, I'm all right. But
Thank you for your service, by the way.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
Before I forget, because
Especially
that's so
during that
important.
time.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there's no need, guys, because I got all the free T-shirts
oh, good.
that I could
You're right.
possibly ever want. And that was thanks enough. That and those yellow support magnets. But no, for real though, I'm very fortunate to have been able to serve with the people I served with, and that was kind of the end of things. For me, I couldn't wear body armor anymore. Obviously, my deployment was over. I had full thickness 3rd-degree burns on my shoulder and my leg, and my right arm was shattered. And so they were like, "Hey, you're not going to war anymore for a while, bud." And I was like, "All right." And so they gave me the option, like, "Hey, you can keep your job, but you're probably not going to really do that job. You can be in what's called the S shop, which is a little bit more of the admin clerical side of things."
I can see you behind a desk doing clerical work
Thanks.
so well.
Yeah.
That-
No one's more organized and clerical than John Farwell. Everyone knows that. That's what we're going to talk about in this pod. Is my amazing organization. I was like, if we want to lose the war, we should definitely put me there.
Put me there.
Yeah, we'll lose.
Yeah.
And so right around, at that time I was rehabbing in San Antonio, where I didn't even know the Army was until I got there. It was at Fort Sam Houston. And I discovered CrossFit. My buddy came, was like, hey, come do this thing with me at the gym. And at the time I was smoking like a chimney. It was like a pack a day. I weighed like 250 or so for reference. I mean, I'm usually 175, 180 right now. Not an impressive 250. And I think I needed a haircut, which made it so much worse.
I've never seen pictures of that. I think we might need.
I'll find them. Find them, and you'll be like, oh, there you are. Anyway, and so I got really into that, and I thought, I knew I was getting out, and I'm like, man, I might like to do this for work. This is cool. And it was kind of in its infancy, and the barrier to entry was really low. It was like $2,000 to affiliate with CrossFit, right? And so I did it. I moved up to New Hampshire, and I opened up a place called White Mountain CrossFit, which is in Concord. Think about that for a sec. It's called White Mountain CrossFit because I didn't know where the White Mountains were when I.
Most don't. So you're probably fine.
You're in the state.
The right state.
No, I mean that's.
It's really good, John.
It was not in Massachusetts.
There's definitely some White Mountain named businesses here in Bedford.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's like, John, you moved to Colorado. You called it Rockies CrossFit.
There you
Good
go.
job. Yeah.
You were on point.
And
in
that's
your
like
marketing.
that's like John Farwell good, right there. It was like,
Right.
It did, sort of. And then I ended up leaving that place. It's still around today. I opened another place which was called CrossFit Ironborn. Big tough guy name.
Intense. I just got Jack listening.
So intense. There are a lot of things I'd love to stop young John from doing. Naming that place CrossFit Ironborn is one of them. But that was from 2014. Ironborn from 2014 till 2020. Honestly, looking back at it, it was never more than like a couple of hard months away. At its best, at its apex, it was never more than like a couple of hard months away from being in real trouble. And so, like I say, in 2020, I sold it. I'm like, look, it could have very easily bitten the dust without 2020. 2020 just gave it the push.
Yeah.
It
Definitely.
needed. Yeah, for sure. But I got really lucky. Couple of people actually from Bedford, CrossFit Amskag. They were like, hey, we'd like to buy this from you. And I got to stay on. I'm like, moonlight as a coach, which is groovy. But right around that time, my friend Steve Galvan, who was another reformed gym owner out in San Antonio, and he works for KW Heritage, actually. I noticed that he closed his gym up way pre-pandemic and was like, hey, man, he was like, I'm doing real estate full-time now. And I called him and I was like, hey, man, is real estate good? And he was like, okay.
Better than CrossFit?
He was like, well, John, and I think it was like over $300,000 his first year. He was like, I did this. It's wild to me. And this was, again, like pre-2020, like, and he was like, you should do it. And I'm like, okay. And at the time, guys, like, I was like, if I can just make $25,000 a year from real estate, and then I could do the gym too. And so I can work 2 jobs and still not have any money. This is awesome.
This is great.
That's goals.
Yeah.
Hi.
And, I took, I zoomed my real estate classes.
Yeah.
I passed the national first time go. I absolutely did not pass the state.
That was my exact experience as well. Yep.
Several times.
Congratulations.
It didn't really matter what I did. I'd always just miss it.
The New Hampshire one's tricky.
It's
It's worded tricky. It's a tricky test. The mass test is a lot like the national. It's straightforward. New Hampshire.
Unfair. Unfair.
Yeah.
I'll come right out and say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the OPLC got a bunch of my money for
Taking a few
me
national
just not doing well at this. They're like, thanks, John, again. There was like a plaque with my name on it there. So Eventually though,
Stop.
they couldn't keep a good dog down.
Mhm.
They were like, if a blind squirrel found his nut, and I passed. And I joined a team at another KW,
Yeah.
actually. And I did that for 2 years. And then I met my colleagues, Christine Lamfair and Carrie Crowley. And they're like, hey, big guy, come on over here. Check it out. It's a good place. And I was like, all right. So I started Metro 3 years ago now. Yeah. And, I'll be honest, at first it was terrifying because one, guys were all strangers. And two, like I was on, this team where I was getting leads and all that stuff. So I was effectively a solo agent. So I'm like, I don't know, can I do it?
Right. Because you had come from a team that you were getting leads.
100%.
What were those leads? Were they cold leads? Were they foreclosures? Were they distressed?
It's a great question. A little of column A and a little of column B. So
Okay.
there were definitely foreclosures kicking around there, and a goodly amount of cold leads. And so I would devote I remember I called the back office like the sales bullpen.
Yeah.
And I'd go around and I'd spend like an hour at the end of each day just cold calling people
Okay.
over and over and over again. Yeah.
What did you learn during that first 2 years of the grind? That's how I see it, right? Like that cold calling. We had Cynthia on here who does a lot of cold calling.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that? Because I don't think that's everybody's like, I just can't wait to cold call.
I don't know a lot of people who wake up in the morning like, I'm gonna cold.
Cynthia is one of those. But anyway.
That's why she's her, man. So, for me, it got me real cool at talking on the phone to people I didn't know real quick. It taught me not to be, you have to let people talk. And I think especially in real estate, because man, in those early months, especially, I'm just sitting there with my phone in my hand. I'm like, oh God, I don't have any money now. Huh. Wait a minute.
I need a little more than $25,000.
I thought
this.
you just came to me.
Yeah.
So, one, you have to go out there and actively pursue people. But two, you get so focused on monetizing the thing right in front of you that you forget it's not just the hand, it's like the fingers of the hand, what goes beyond that. And you have to be willing to listen, because you don't want to talk to one person with the idea that you're going to make one transaction. That's not the point. And if you only focus on that, I don't think you're going to last very long. In real estate, you have to create this robust referral database that you can mine over and over, and you need to actively go out all the time and add to it. That was that I think what I just said was the biggest thing for me, is that you can put out a Facebook post or whatever, be like, I'm a realtor now, and you'll get a bunch of likes. If that's the only thing you do and you just expect that business is going to happen for you, I can tell you from the first 3 months of my own where I just did that, it's not going to happen, man.
No matter, and you were in a good market.
Yes.
You were when money was almost free.
For sure.
Right? And it just doesn't happen. But you learned how to do the work, right? You were, I also think, and we keep on hearing this, we've interviewed so many agents, if you can really see it as a business and a job, even though you are the whole business.
Yes.
But you're plugging in a systematic way and actually working it, and not, like you said, waiting for it. And so many people wonder why this doesn't work, and they're waiting for it. And they feel like they're doing stuff, right? They're showing up. They might even put more than one post, right? They might be letting people know, but they're not actively working this as if they had a boss telling them, I need you to get X amount.
Well, it's just you open up a coffee shop. You open up a coffee shop and say, we're open. And then you just sit there and just wait for people to come in the door. It doesn't work that way.
No.
It's not about just sort of saying, now I'm available. It's what are you offering? And then how do you communicate what you're offering? So you got to figure out what it is you do and what your value system is before you can even start, telling the world why they should work with you and not, why Jonathan and not John, right?
Right.
You know? So
I'll,
it's,
I like
I'll
that.
tell you, it's that H.
yeah, exactly. That's
That
right.
age cheat. Now, so when you went solo, you were on a team, but solo meaning getting your own leads and really finding that business.
Yeah.
What would you say you took from your military experience, your CrossFit experience? What do you think helped focus your business and how you run a business today?
So from the military part of it, it's just like being too stubborn to quit,
Mm.
right? Yeah, honestly, like so I was an infantryman, which you know, you would think would set you up with a lot of, you know, life skills. No, like if you want to just live outdoors all the time, then yeah, probably. If you get really good at being unhappy,
Yeah.
let's put it that way.
Well, we've discussed being unhappy
Yeah.
before.
It's
Let's not have fun.
it's a real, but it.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later too. But like that is honestly that is, I believe, an actual skill. Like you just get comfortable being uncomfortable, and especially my first couple of months in real estate were not the most comfortable. I was like, man, you know, okay, I should pick up another job, right, to offset this,
Yeah.
you know, this, that, and the other, because just nothing was really happening. It's a scary time. So from the military, just like, hey, be cool, be okay being not okay. And you gotta have to go out and execute anyway. Right. And that's just how it is. And maybe we can all get together and cry about it later. Right. So
Right.
there was that. Being a gym owner, I would say, Tom, we just talked about this, right? Like you can't hang your shingle up, whether it be a coffee shop or whatever, and be like, I'm here now.
Yeah.
And then be shocked when people aren't like, well, good for you. We're not going to come though. Right. So you have to be willing to go to the people.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, like it's always struck me that like, that's the number one thing. Like I get not loving making calls or doing that, but that's kind of the most important part of real estate.
Not kind of, it is.
I'm understanding it a bit. That's kind of everything,
Yeah.
really.
Any business, any sales job, any entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you're selling yourself.
You got to ask for the business.
You have to. You have to. Now, you're pretty good at that grind. And I think a lot of agents aren't good at that. So I think that's even in and of itself, doing that uncomfortable, being comfortable with the uncomfortable is a big deal. This year, you've doubled your business. Sorry, you have done the same amount as you did pretty well last year, enough to be in the top 20% of our company. So that's the pretty top agent. And you've done that same amount of work in the first 6 months.
I'd say two things.
Yep.
One, I've looked at my previous year's transactions, the previous 2 years, because they were fairly similar, you know, and I said, okay, I needed X amount of contacts to get a referral, and I needed X referrals to get a closing. Okay, well, here's what I want to do this year, which you and I talked about, which is a kind way of saying I said what I wanted to do, and then she told me I needed to do more.
Why? No. I didn't say I wanted you. I said, I know you're capable.
You did. It was so good. So good the way you said it. And
But that was the reality.
Yep.
You pushed, and I think when you're doing pretty well, it's easy to make comfortable goals moving forward.
For sure.
Right? Yet, I had no doubt with what you were doing, you could do double that.
And the way you said it, like I remember walking out being like, oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it was great. Like you nailed it. So the first thing
I didn't even realize I was nailing it, but it was the truth. You were underestimating yourself.
I may be prone to do such things.
I think a lot of us are.
Yeah. Well, comfort is the death of growth, right?
Bingo.
So if you hit that point, you know, and you got to be uncomfortable. It's all wild.
That's why they call it a comfort zone, because it's so darn comfortable. But so that was the first thing is I was like, okay, I need to get a really good handle on what my numbers should be, because I didn't want to just kind of go and be like, and just
We don't want you to do
burns through my database every single. And I'm like, okay, you know, I've called you like 6 times this month. Like that didn't strike me, at least, as something that was going to shake out for me.
Yeah.
There are
And
plenty,
genuine.
yeah, and there are plenty of other people where like, hey man, that's their bag and they're awesome at it. I'm just not. The very first, yeah, like I said, the very first thing was for me to figure out like, okay, if I do X activities, X amount of times, break them down to daily tasks, and I do just that, this should net in this many transactions. Now, if I add a layer or two, not too much, right? I'd rather do. I always say I'd rather just kill it at half than just do a bad job trying to take on too much.
Yep.
Right.
Which is hard to do when you've just been given a task to double your business.
For sure. And so like actually honestly, if you were to go on my social media, which is
a lot of fun.
it's so
Entertaining.
so terrible. I have like 12 followers. Not 12, but like definitely not as many as I should have. But anywho, it's just like all these cap cuts of me being like, this seems other agents probably do this, bink. And I'd send it out there just because I was like, I know I should. So you know, there were efforts made early on to try and do everything. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like this isn't you. This isn't what you're good at. Like, yeah, have a presence, but really, man, like double down on what you know you can do, which for me has always been getting in front of people and developing good relationships. If I've
That's mind blowing. Getting in front of people and building relationships.
It's weird.
It's crazy
It's really
that actually works.
I was like, I'll use AI to make that relationship. But no, like that's always like ever since my coaching days, ever since I ran the gym, right? I had to learn how to speak in front of people, you know, like quick.
Yeah. Well, and also I would assume in that sort of dynamic, right, where you're their coach, you're talking to them, they're coming to you with a very vulnerable personal problem.
Oh yeah,
right,
for sure.
Something about their appearance, their health, both, whatever, and you've got to navigate the waters on instilling confidence in them to move forward and stick with a process and trust you.
Yes.
Right. So, it's sort of a similar path when you bring on a client, right? They come in, we want to buy a house, we don't know if we can afford it, right? It's the same sort of dynamic. It's just different arena, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. Like, you know, you see people at their most vulnerable, you kind of learn over time, you know, how to navigate those waters fairly well, I think anyway.
So you now have realized, okay, I need to focus on what I'm good at. I need to double down on something.
Yeah.
What was that you changed? Because there's something you changed very clearly.
100%. And so I had always made it a priority to have lots of conversation with people. And, you know, I always tried to remind them at the end of the talk, like, hey, you know, I'm in real estate. And if you know anyone.
And I bet you said it exactly that way too. I know you did.
I absolutely have.
And if I tried that, people would look at me like I had two heads. I'm going to start doing that, John, and see how it works. Like just
when you're on your calls. KW Met.
Me.
Huh? What do you think?
Looking for a brokerage?
John does it and does it great. I don't know why it's not working for me.
Come on. So, yeah. But I got a lot more intentional about how I asked for business. And like if you pay attention, like you pay attention to some of the big time top agents in here, and I'm going to name a name. I'm going to name Tom Bolduc, because if you ever call him, it's everywhere with his stuff. If you call him, it's on his voicemail. Referrals. He's excellent about it, right?
I'm so glad you said that, because he's going to be in about 2 episodes. We really.
You're welcome.
He just propped us up for that.
Paving the way.
Paving the way for Tom.
So, anywho, that was the big thing for me, is I stopped saying like, yeah, if you know, it wasn't quite that. Now it's more along the lines of like, hey, you know, right now in the market, I'm seeing a lot of people either moving on from their starter homes or they're downsizing, right? As their kids get older, maybe the house is a little too big for them. Do you know anyone like that? And it went from if to do you or who do you, right? Just kind of
in the situation,
correct? Not
just need to buy or sell. It's if you know of anybody who's looking to downsize, right? Like that's a big shift, right?
Yeah.
Do you know?
And
not who do you know? I don't know.
And that changed everything. And I'd make a note to myself. I still do with my yellow legal pad that I keep at all times. Yeah, other people have like iPads and stuff. I can't. But like, so I'd make a note like, ask for referral, ask for referral,
Mhm.
ask for referral. And there have been so many times where I have not wanted to do that. Just been like, all right, it's good. Just leave the conversation. And like 10 seconds later, I'm like, nope, I can't. I'm going to make sure that I do that. I promised myself I would. So
Mm.
I drilled down into intentionally asking for referrals. And can I add one more thing? I know it's 3
Absolutely.
things. You said one thing, 3 things. I can't remember who said it. It was, I don't know, some guy with a fancy degree.
Okay.
Fancy.
Someone smart.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Not any of us.
Said, but I think we've all heard it. Like 80% of your results come from 20%
Yeah.
of your people, your network, your
Their
whatever.
efforts, yeah.
I began intentionally going out of my way to increase my database in an effort to increase that 20% because you don't know where it's going to come from and you can only run through your current one so much. So, asking for referrals, knowing my numbers, and then really deliberately every day trying to add at least 2 people to my database.
And that literally doubled your business.
Yeah, it did.
Mhm.
And we probably didn't, we had that conversation like maybe December.
Mhm.
It wasn't like you prepped yourself for 6 months and then finally saw the results in 6 months later.
Mhm.
That's a big deal. And that shows that if you do the work and you're intentional, and I think that's what you're showing is the intentionality, right? You can show up, but if you're not doing the right things with it,
Or asking for the business.
right,
Right.
which is the
In a very
uncomfortable part.
Direct way, yeah.
And there's so many people who say, I can't make this work. I can't, but they're not doing the uncomfortable.
Yeah, like so there was a saying we had in the Army, and I apologize, but we used to say this about like certain schools or whatever. Like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not hard.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
Mhm.
it's not like fun to do. It's not like exciting to do, but it's not like wildly complicated. It's another way to say
It's
that.
not,
Right.
it's simple,
Yeah.
not easy.
It's
Yeah.
nailed it. Right. But we had to work in like naughty words because,
Yeah, right.
I like that you called it
in
not.
between like cigarettes and Red Bulls.
Yeah, you couldn't,
So
couldn't be eloquent in the
no, why, how dare you? How could you? What am I, some John with an H? So anywho, but it's the exact same thing here. And I'm not trying to be all like, hustle, grind, all that
No.
stuff. No, man, not at all. But you just got to be cool being like, okay, well, here's what you have to do. And it's not the most exciting, most attractive thing in the world. And that's why I think a lot of, especially brandy new agents can struggle at first is because like, man, you want to monetize right away. You don't want to build up that database, but if you can just hang with it and get through year 1, especially, if you treat it like a job, you're going to be all right.
I was going to just ask you what you would advise a new agent. So
well,
this is, it's kind of like our last kind of hurrah question on the episodes, and maybe you can kind of embellish from it. But what would you recommend to somebody who's considering getting into the business, or someone just got started, or someone stuck in the business, right? That not quite making it happen yet for them.
Okay. Those are good. So I'll see if I can take them down in order here. Someone getting into the business, do it yesterday, man. It changed my life. I wake up every day so grateful for, real estate, which, I know like, but let's put it this way. And I've told this story at the ALC meetings. My first deal I ever did, I think I made like $1,600. And I was so freaked out because it was the most amount of money I had put into my checking account at one time in like over a decade. Right. I was like, oh my God, what do I do with that? I remember I wanted to buy like some fancy soap and I was like, so on the fence, like I should put this all in savings. That's where I was at in my life. It was humiliating. And real estate changed all of that for me. Okay. So if you're thinking about doing it, yeah, it's going to be scary. Do it anyway. Okay. Be scared. Do it anyway. The second one, A newer agent? Was
Yeah,
that what it was?
newer agent.
Okay. Yeah. Understand you have to go to them and they won't come to you.
Mm.
I think that's one of the hardest things, especially for a newer / younger agent, is like no one's going to advocate for you like you.
Yeah.
And so if you want to do well, then you have to go to the people, you have to stay front of mind. It's not going to be attractive, like, oh, they call me up for listings and no, man, that doesn't come till way later.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
going to have to do everything, do with rentals, develop as many relationships and contacts as you can. And if you can just hang in there for a little bit, it will get better. I promise.
That's great. And someone who's stuck in the business.
Oh man. Nothing's going to get you unstuck quicker than getting on your phone.
Bingo.
No, and look,
Yeah.
everyone's got a secret sauce. And I've learned a lot just being at Metro. And that's the big value I have coming into the office, is being around high performers, I think. So, there's so many different ways to do it. But for me, anytime I'm kind of like, nothing's a curative other than just going back and picking up my phone. I don't care if it's call or text, whatever, but just talk to people over and over and, ask them for business. You do have to do that. Yeah.
I love it. Wow. There's a lot in there.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really neat. And it's, I'm excited that we're able to tell your story. I think it's because you're not one that puts that out there very easily.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There you go. And that's why we have you here. So any last words, Andrew? Because this is probably the first time you're hearing his story.
Yeah, it wasn't my first time meeting John. I mean, we met in the parking lot. And
You
had, like, a chat
met out in
for
the parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh, by your license plate.
I just hate fun.
Yeah, we bonded in TRD Pro, love for our vehicles. So
Yeah.
There we go.
We nod.
Yep. Yeah. That's right.
There
So we're good now. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for coming on. I mean, it was really interesting to hear, especially having, you're one of the few people who've come on who've had multiple sort of very drastically different sort of career paths leading up to this, and I think that there's just, again, there's always value to anybody who's watching or listening who is sort of saying like, well, should I go and try yet another thing that may or may not work because it's failed the first 3 times, so why would it work the 4th time, or whatever it might be, right? And so knowing that like everybody's trajectory is different, just another great perspective.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. So will you come back again at some point?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
We didn't scare you off too much.
Yeah. If you're asking me to co-host with you guys, I'm more than happy to.
Perfect. Yes.
We're now going
You can sub for me someday.
That's right.
That's right. All right, great. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching, listening. Make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.
See you.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained a little insight into the world behind those for sale signs.
Today's episode was brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Metropolitan, proudly serving New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. A special thank you to our agents, leadership, and partners at KW Metro for their continued support.
And thanks to you, our amazing listeners and viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Leave us a review or comment. We love hearing your feedback, and it helps more people discover the show.
And if you have a real estate story you'd like to share or a question you want answered on a future episode, reach out to us at metro.kw.com or find us on Instagram, handle @KWMetroNH.
Until next time, we'll see you
Behind the Sign.